Hey, what's up, everybody? Team Wilpers. I have Coach Brian Hammond here in Fueling Week. We are talking about fueling still. I know it's been a little bit, we had some technical difficulties. So thanks for joining me again, Brian.
Yeah, happy to be here again.
Yeah, thanks. So we did record this last week, and maybe it doesn't matter once it gets posted. But we had an awesome talk about fueling, and we're gonna bring it to you again for us, but for the first time for you all. So fueling is, I mean, we've talked a few different topics this year, which is goal setting, and then bike fit, and now that you've got that together, it's time to put some gas in the tank and go have fun. Yes. So can you give me the what, when, and why of fueling?
Yeah, as we talk about fueling can always be tough, right? Nutrition's such a hot topic, and you can always argue left and right what's going on. So what I always like to say first is like, let's make it simple. Like, why are we eating? What are we eating for? And when we're talking about sports nutrition, that's what we're talking about today, not your day to day. What am I having for lunch type nutrition, right? It's like, how do I fuel my workouts? And that's what we're talking about is fuel. I'm not talking about nutritional content. What's healthier, right? Like, yes, having a banana is healthier than having a goo packet. There's no argument about that. But the fact of the matter is, when we're in that workout, what we need is the calories. And a goo packet offers the calories the same way a banana does. There's just not nutritional value along with it.
I
So
have to
we're
jump
talking
in with
about
a
fueling.
I have to
Yeah,
jump
go
in
for it.
with a question. How many calories in a banana? How many carbohydrates are in a banana?
Well, 60-ish calories um, per banana, right around there. So
Right
it's
around
4 calories per gram. So it's like, yeah,
15
15.
grams of carbs. Yes.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
a goo packet, a gel packet. What are they typically?
Typically 100 calories.
100
So,
calories. So close to
yeah,
two bananas in one of those gel packets. All right, cool. I just
yeah,
had a little
typically.
thing. So, all right. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Carry on.
That's all right. Yeah, so our conversation is really about fuel, right? It's not about nutrients, it's not about vitamins and minerals and all that good stuff. We're talking about just putting gas in the tank, getting it through. So that's really the what, right? That's the what. We're trying to just fuel. When is super important. This is probably before and during is the when. That's, you have to make sure before you're getting on that bike or going for that run or getting that workout in that you already have gas in the tank. Like, don't try to drive across country on an empty tank, right? I don't jump in my car. Like, I go the day before and I get it gassed up and then I start my trip. And the same thing with my workouts, man. If I'm waking up in the morning and I'm working out first thing, right? Like, I'm doing a 6 a.m. ride, something along that lines. I haven't eaten dinner since, 7 o'clock the night before. So my body's just been burning through its fuel source all night long while sleeping. I'm waking up with a pretty low tank. Like, I might want to make sure I eat something, quick and easy, a piece of toast with peanut butter or jelly on it, something like that. Maybe a quick banana, bite of banana, something like that. I got to get fuel in to be prepared to ride. Now, if I'm riding later in the day after work or in the afternoon, I can just kind of reassess and be like, what time did I have lunch? Did I have a snack in the afternoon? Do I feel full? Do I feel like I have fuel on board and like well energized? And if I do, great. Hop on the bike without eating beforehand. So I think that's super important is making sure that we're showing up to the workout ready to rock.
What types of workouts? You have to fuel all workouts, or is there like a scale, a guidelines? Do I have to take fuel for the 45-minute rides?
Depends. It depends. And everyone always hates those answers, but it always depends. Um,
On
I would look at it more,
intensity, yeah?
yeah, twofold, right? It's time and intensity is really
Yeah.
what we're looking at there. So let's say I'm doing a PZE ride or an easy run or something along that lines where it's just, zone two and below. So if I'm really kind of focusing on zone two and below, I probably don't need to worry about fueling if I'm keeping it under an hour and a half. We're using at that point in time, remember your zones correlate with energy systems, how we use energy. And our two main sources of energy while working out is we're going to simplify this, right? We use blood sugar, which is like our fast fuel kind of right there. So when we're working hard, think of zone 4, right? We're usually mainly we're using that blood sugar as our energy source with a little bit of fat thrown in. As we get down to zone 2, zone 1, we're using majority of a fat as an energy source with a little bit of blood sugar thrown in, right? So if I'm just doing a zone 2 kind of easy ride, I got enough fat on my system personally. I could go for weeks,
Yeah,
weeks on end without eating anything, right? So
I
I'd
think
probably be
we all do.
fine.
Yeah, I think we
But as
all
the
do.
intensity increases, the fueling demands become greater.
Totally. So as the intensity increases, you get into zone 4, 5, 6. It's more likely that you need fuel, and it's more likely depending on the time of the ride, but also your current conditioning and what you're used to. So I think the answer that you gave, it depends, is absolutely right. It depends on a lot of things, and hopefully that's helpful. Now, what about the longer events? We've got people signing up for Pelafondos, Matt's 2 hour rides. I had a crew do a 3 hour ride just this last weekend. I did a 2 hour ride just last week. You get into rides like that where you're pushing up hills here in Vermont. Like, what do we need to do as you're pushing the pace a little bit in these events for multiple hours?
Yeah, you got to fuel. That's if it's my general rule from a time perspective is if it's under an hour, maybe I fuel, maybe I don't. Depends on the intensity. If it's over an hour, I'm probably going to have something. If it's over 90 minutes, all right, if I'm getting past 90 minutes, getting to that 2 hour and plus, I'm going in with a fueling strategy, meaning I have a plan. It's not just a couple, jelly beans in a cup next to my bike. This is like I am going in with a solid plan of saying I'm going to try to eat or consume 300 calories an hour every hour that I'm on the bike. So 3 hour ride, I'm going to consume 300 calories the first hour, 300 calories the second hour, 300 calories the third hour. I don't wait 2 hours in to start fueling. You got to start from the get go. And that's the strategy, is making sure you start there so you don't get too low in the long run, because you can only stomach a certain amount per hour and you're going to run a deficit, right? We're going to burn, I don't know, 600 calories an hour, but you can only consume 300.
Yeah,
So no matter what, I'm going to run a deficit. So if I wait too long, the bank account starts getting empty. I can't get enough money back in the bank to pay my bills.
totally. And that's maybe you can consume 300. You need to, as far as I understand, you need to work up to 300 calories an hour and have a strategy that is tried and true. So, um, where would you start? And I just want to reiterate that it's kind of depends on what type of ride you're doing. So, and I've got two examples for you coming up, which I'll get to in a second. But uh, the intensity of the ride matters, but the fuel we're putting in is carbohydrate. Yes, simple sugars,
Yes.
because that
Yeah.
goes right into the bloodstream and goes right to working muscles. If you get like a peanut butter jelly sandwich, the peanut butter is not going to do you any good for that ride. Maybe the jelly, probably not the bread.
Yeah, most likely. Well, if it's white bread, you're probably okay. If you're using a nice little Wonder Bread, it's going to break down. It probably
Depends.
already has sugar in it.
Right. How about
Yeah,
here?
that
While we're looking at products here, I've got this PBJ, 230 calories. Um, let's see, total carbohydrates, 39 grams. Sugars, 17 grams.
right. So right, we're getting like definitely a lot of sugar in there. It's going to break down. When I think about timing of food and which type of food and things of that nature, you think about it as how fast is it going to get into my system, right? How quickly do I want this in here? And the harder the food, the slower it absorbs. All right. And so if something is hard, a bar,
Yeah.
something like that, it's going to take longer to break down in my system than liquid, a drink, Gatorade. Right now, then you kind of go on that spectrum. Is if a drink's coming in the fastest, what's next? Well, you have semi-solids. That would be your gels. I think you had some um, applesauce there, stuff like that, right? So something kind of, yes, exactly, squeezable type thing, right? After
Yeah.
that would be your semi-sauce, your gummy bears, your chews, and then maybe bananas, soft foods, bananas, breads, things like that. And then you get to your hard stuff like your condensed bars, the Bobo bars, the power bars. I mean, remember
Would
those old power bars? I mean, that was like eating tar.
Oh
So
yeah, the
like,
power bars. I
yeah,
landed
it
on
takes
Cliff
forever.
bars. I like Cliff bars when I need something solid on the longer rides. Like those things work for me. But
And that's the other thing too. Like the important part of that sentence that you just said was you landed on. That means you've tried other things,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you found the product that you enjoyed eating, the taste was good, but also the consistency was good,
yeah,
right? It wasn't too hard, it wasn't too chewy, it wasn't this. And that's the, your, like you said before, is like you have to work up to taking in these calories.
yeah,
You also have to work up with learning what you like to take in on food. Somebody had posted, I think this week we were talking about nutrition, one of the posts, and somebody was mentioning all the stuff that they had on their ride and how they felt great through it. But she also mentioned that she was starting to get tired of the sweetness,
yeah,
right? That towards the end, she was getting that sweet
yeah,
kind of fatigue. And that is so true for so many of us.
yeah.
Like, these sugar products are always so sweet that, if you're just eating gels and, jelly beans and stuff like that, like sometimes you're like, I can't eat another bite because it's just all too sweet. So where's that savory stuff that you can try too? Ritz crackers and, you
Pretzels.
know, pretzels. And for me, I had mentioned in that thing that I use a drink called Summit Tea, which is
Yeah,
by Goo, the Goo Roctane Summit Tea, because it has a little bitterness to it. It's not so sweet. So I'm washing this stuff down, not with a sugary drink as well. Well, it's sugary, but it's not sweet, right? So it's kind of helping me stomach this stuff.
yeah. Awesome. And so I'm talking about two different types of rides, and I have examples for you. Coach Brian, put your math hat on here. And so I went out for a ride the other day, 2 hours. I'm going to a training camp in a couple of weeks, and everybody there is going to drop me because I'm not in shape. So I'm cramming for this event, and knowing that I would need to fuel, I had two products. I had one of these before I left after breakfast, peanut butter jelly for breakfast, an hour before the ride, and then one of these go-go squeeze. I rated my kids snack drawer, and we have 60 calories on this thing, just about 15 grams of carbohydrates, 60 calories. It's about the same as a banana here is what I had right before I got on the bike. And then I had the last one of these Bobo's peanut butter chocolate chips. So it's empty. And let's see what we got here. 180 calories in one of them and 30 grams of carbohydrate. Um, how do you think I did on that 2 hours and 10 minutes about on that ride?
Well, depending on the intensity, I'm sure you had some hard efforts mixed in there, but you're talking about 240 calories over 2 hours, right? You started with somewhat of a full tank, right? You ate before you left, so you had some gas in the tank. So I think you did well, right? I would have probably liked to see maybe a sports drink mixed in there too that add a little couple more calories in there. But like we said before, we can get 300 calories or more, So, but around 300 calories, a good place to start is maybe around 250 calories, 200 calories to start an hour. So, you could have taken in around 500 or 600 calories, but we only took in 240.
Yeah,
So if this was a longer ride, we would have started probably running into problems later on in the ride for sure.
I'm running a
So I think
deficit, huh?
overall for the 2 hours, I think great. You took something in, right? You probably could have gotten away with nothing, be my
Most
guess,
likely,
but you're
yeah. On a
better off
peanut butter
getting
jelly
something
sandwich,
in.
I could do it. Yes.
Totally. Now, what I would say is I would have reversed those products, right? I would have had the Bobo bar first, and then I would have had the squeeze pack later because, again, that Bobo bar is going to take a while for it to break down. So if you ate that an hour and 15 minutes into the ride, hour and a half in the ride, you probably didn't even get the response that you were looking for from that. Now it helped you refuel for after, right?
Yep. Yep.
Helped that deficit a little bit. So it was still beneficial. And, it also benefited you mentally, neurologically, right? Like your brain realized that there was sensors coming, like we have sensors in our mouth, carbohydrate sensors in our mouth that are direct wire to our brain, right? And the way I always explain this is it's kind of like money. Think of calories like money, right? Your calories in your system is your bank account. And if you know that you have money in your bank account, great. You feel free. You can spend some, right? Your day kind of goes along. Now imagine if we paid you consistently. Every week I gave you a certain amount of money,
Oh,
right?
I
You're on
like this.
salary.
Sounds
It's nice,
good.
right? Now, you know you have money in the bank and you know you have money coming in. So it's very easy for you to spend money. Now, what if I said to you, listen, I'm not going to pay you every week, but I'm going to pay you. You just don't know when.
Right.
What are you going to do with your spending? Maybe I'm not going to spend it right now. Maybe I'll wait a
Yeah, I'm
little
gonna
bit.
hang on to it.
That's your metabolism, right? That's the way your brain is looking at calories. If your calories are coming in sporadically all over the place, or maybe they're not coming in, well, your brain's like, well, I'm not going to spend what I got because I don't know if this guy is going to bring any more in, right? So just by eating, just by putting food in your mouth, your brain knows, hey, that money's coming in. So we can keep spending money. So that Bobo bar, even though it might not hit during that ride, it
Yeah.
still mentally allowed your brain to still spend calories because it knew it was going to fill it up. That check was in the bank,
Oh,
right?
that
It was
makes
gonna hit
total
pretty
sense
soon.
because the chocolate chips when as soon as they went in and a little swig of water, I must have been just mentally happy about that.
For sure. Right. So
uh,
I would have switched them. I would have switched them around. I
no,
would have
that
probably
makes
started
sense.
with the
Good
boba
call.
bar and then had the gel pack
Good
later
call.
on,
Yeah, the gel pack later on helps me more in
especially
the
when
second half of that ride.
that last hard climb's coming up.
Well, we
I know
are
that
in
climb is a
Vermont here,
couple.
so yeah, there's nothing flat around here.
No.
So my other example is a couple events that I've done here in Vermont, two gravel races, which let's call them 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours of intense racing, and for those, yeah, I did have a strategy rather than just rating the snack drawer. Now this Scratch Super Fuel has 400 calories for one bottle of water, and my plan was I had 3 bottles of this for 4 hours, I believe. Let's call it 3 hours, 2 bottles,
Okay.
and another Vermont favorite is the maple syrup packets.
Love the maple
Uh,
syrup.
we're looking at 100 calories, and all that's pure sugar. So 100 calories plus 400 calories, looking like, well, two of these 200 and a full bottle,
Right. So you had 800 calories so far. Two bottles, 800 calories,
and
two
and
two maple
three of
packets.
these.
Yeah,
Yes,
three.
so eleven
So
hundred
you're
calories.
1100 for 3 hours. That's
Correct.
pretty much right on point.
Right.
Right? You're pretty much right there. You were basically taking one of those packets per hour and you were drinking a bottle and a half, or you were drinking a bottle every hour and a half, right? Which was awesome. Like
So if
I
I
like
do the math, what am I at? 60 grams per 60 grams would be 240. No, more than
yeah,
that. Almost 90 grams per hour.
you're
Yes.
almost at 90 grams. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I wanted to point out is the range. I tell my athletes to start off at 30. Let's start at 30, find the right products, make sure you can stomach them, 2 hour rides, workouts. When you get to your event, maybe you've moved up through the work by doing it by trial and error to 40, 50, 60, 90. I've heard of pros doing 120, 140, 160 grams per hour. But you have to try it first.
You
And
got to
starting
practice it,
at
right?
30, so between 30 and 90, how's that range sound to you?
I think that's right on point. That's what I would tell most of my athletes, that I've worked with over the years is, you start small. 100 calories an hour. Like a lot of people listening to this have never taken anything during a workout. Water. That's it, right? They just
Yeah.
take water. So I would say start with a sports drink. Just sip a sports drink while you're doing it. And
Yeah.
then, if that workout, even if it's 45 minutes or whatever, have a gel
Yeah.
or have a couple of those goo packet, chews and stuff like that. Like you got to start somewhere. And what a lot of people unfortunately think of is, well, I'm here to burn calories. I don't want to add calories if I'm trying to burn calories. And what I would argue is you'll burn more calories because you'll work harder because you're properly fueled,
True.
right? So maybe I eat
True.
100 calories, but you know what? I burned 125 I
Right.
burned 25% extra calories because I was actually fueled for that instead of bonking at the end, like, oh God, get me off this bike, right? So I think that would be step one. Like, don't even worry about the volume of it because most likely you're not going to eat too much. Like, when we really think about the volume, a lot of times we're worried about our clients eating too much and getting GI distress, right?
Yes.
So start just simple. Grab a product that you like, Gatorade or whatever drink you like, and iced tea, whatever. It doesn't matter.
The banana.
Um,
The banana is a good place
banana,
to start with. Half a banana.
gel,
Yeah.
something like that. Just try to make it a conscious effort to eat something during a workout and see how you feel, right? Especially if you start losing energy towards the end of workouts, typically. Like if you see those intervals and you're not following that graph towards the end and it starts to drop off, that to me right there is most likely a fueling situation. And because fueling, always remember, it is about our muscles and fueling our muscles. But you also have to remember that your brain is fueled 100% by blood sugar. So if your blood
Glucose.
sugar starts dropping down, well, your mental fortitude is going to start going along with it, right? Your brain is like, hey, well, I don't got a lot of money to spend here. I don't have a lot of calories to spend here. I'm going to protect myself first. So let's shut everything else down, right? Because I don't want to forget where I live. So, it's always going to protect itself. So just even if you're getting that kind of sense of lethargicness or just dizziness, or not dizziness, but like just like mentally, you just feel weak, like you want to give up.
Yeah.
If that's something that you deal with on a regular basis in workouts, I think we all struggle with it from time to time. Have food,
Yeah.
see how it feels. But yes, that 30 to 90 grams per hour is what I would target. I personally have always struggled getting above 90 grams. Like
It,
I
it's
have a hard
hard.
time doing it.
It's hard without the super fuel. It really helps. When I was competitive, that stuff was not around, or at least I wasn't aware of it. And yeah, I was slamming goos and gel packs and just eating that stuff, every 20 minutes, trying to rip open a packet and shove it in your mouth between a rock garden here and there. Is kind of crazy, but
it's hard. It's tough. And I struggle with it personally. Like
oh, I think we all do.
theoretically, I know what I should be doing,
Yeah,
X amount of hundred, like I have my strategy.
yeah,
And a lot of these ultra endurance events too, like I have, they might be 12 hours longer or days. And I have a crew that has to help me in some of these things. And one of my crew guys, Travis in particular, like his job is to make sure I eat because I
yeah,
fight it. I'm like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. I
yeah,
don't need it. And he's like, no, you have to.
yeah.
You
I
have
don't
to.
care if you
And he's
wait till
like,
you want it. It's too late.
totally right. And I could try. I'm a coach, right? I can try to argue myself out of it all the time, right? I'd be like, no, because of this reason. He's like, shut up and eat.
Shut
Just,
up, eat, don't talk. Yeah, eat.
I don't like this. I don't care. Eat it. Yeah, it's like a kid. It's hard. It's a struggle.
Well, this talk is timely. Number one, we did just set goals, and we are got our gear set, with our bike fit, and it's time to gas up the tank. But also timing wise, in the overall annual training plan, we are going to start running into some intervals next month. Zone 4, Zone 5, Zone 6 intervals, but also the longer events. There's a Pelafondo, I think, next weekend, sometime very soon. So people are going to be out there pushing it on the volume side. Other people are planning for goals further on. Any fondos or any events that are out there. So I think it is a timely thing, and I'm hoping that people really anybody who sees this can post up and talk about it and know that it's a good discussion to have, but also something to look into and really develop a fueling strategy for what type of ride you're doing.
That's good, especially for these people doing the Pelafondo coming up. Like, come up with a strategy.
Yeah.
Definitely have a strategy. Like, have a goal, map out, pick your favorite candies to have on hand, your favorite sugar drinks to have on hand,
Yeah.
and have it laid out and ready to grab. And think about, like, I'm going to eat this Kit Kat on hour 1. I'm going to have jelly beans hour 2. I'm going to have a banana hour 3. Things like that. Like, really kind of map it out and do the math. It's a simple math question. I'm going to be riding for 5 hours. Maybe our goal's 200 calories an hour, whatever it might be, right? So I need 1,000 calories. How does that look? How many bottles of whatever I'm going to drink? How many Snicker bars is that? How many Twinkies is that? Whatever it is, put that all stuff out there and be like, okay, I just got to eat all this stuff during this ride,
Yep. Yep.
and
And then
see
that's
if
the
you
hard
can.
part is executing, pushing all of it in. So, man, that's awesome. Thank you for talking with me. You kind of made me want to go out and do a longer ride, and you and I are neighbors now, so we got to get that scheduled. There's about 6 inches of snow on the ground right now, so
Not happening.
maybe soon. I ride in the snow sometimes, once they plow the roads, the gravel roads are totally rideable with the sand on it. So I might ride up by your house and throw gummies at your window or something to get you to come out and ride.
Go for it. I'm all in.
I like it. Well, cool. Brian, thank you so much. Everybody post up in the Facebook group. Brian and I and the other coaches of Team Wilpers are happy to help you with talking about fueling strategy, and even more so the other members. You guys are awesome. So thanks, everybody. And we will see you soon. All right. See you.